This episode is brought to you by 180 Markets, where it is our goal to bring every individual, fund manager, family office, or any qualified investor access to Australian Stock Exchange capital raises. If you are ever interested in how to access ASX capital raises in a super simple way, 180 Markets is for you. The sign-up process is easy. You just upload your ID, proof of your investor status, and your current brokerage account information. The settlement of shares goes right into your existing account, and you can access our very next capital raise. If you're interested in free, easy access to thousands of ASX capital raises, including placements, IPOs, reverse takeovers, and more, check out 180markets.com.au. Hello, everybody. Welcome again. Another edition of 18 Minutes with 180 Markets. Friends, we always say you must be on the mega themes. And one of the mega themes, not only in Australia, but worldwide, globally in mining, is doing it in the most efficient, safe manner possible. Everybody now, and frankly for the next 10 years and even beyond, not only do they want to mine the land and mine the earth, but they want to do it in the most safest way you possibly can. And with us today, we have Bahay Ozcakmak from Parkway Minerals. And Bahay is going to explain all about how his company has leading technology to help make processing far, far, far more efficient. Anyway, enough with me. Bahay, welcome to the show.
Hi, Greg. Pleased to be with you.
Bahay, everybody's got a story. And in the case of Parkway, people are going to be investing in you as much as the business. Just tell us in a few words about yourself.
Yeah, sure. No, thanks for the opportunity, Greg. So I've got a science commerce background, always been interested in technology, predominantly worked in the energy and mining sectors, mostly around technology commercialization roles. I've been involved in a few turnarounds, so mining industries that invariably started off as exploration companies that went on to do bigger and better things. And throughout that journey, sort of picked up a few broad trends about what are some of the common challenges these companies are facing. And more importantly, some of these macro themes have always inspired me. So a lot of these sustainability challenges, water efficiency challenges, waste challenges. So really have spent the last few years bringing that together within a technology package and really using that as our motivation within Parkway Minerals, specifically to focus on bringing new technologies to address some of these larger challenges facing the energy and mining industry.
Yeah, and speaking of those, and I think we've highlighted already, how really the world has changed a lot. Can you just explain for viewers, and maybe at a high level, how Parkway, how your specific technology or AMES technology is a little bit different than maybe what else is out there?
Yeah, no, of course. So many of these technologies used for processing, mineral processing flow sheets, even some of these waste streams, they're quite old technologies. So many of them have been around ion exchange, solvent extraction, flotation. Many of these technologies sort of go back 50 to 100 years. And they're proven industrial scale technologies. So definitely have been fit for purpose and treated the industry well, but they're really sort of old school technologies, if you will. There hasn't been a whole lot of innovation to adapt to the new world. So historically, these technologies might recover 70 or 80% of a commodity from a feedstock, and the rest would go to tails. And for a long time, that was adequate. But with sort of lower head grades for ore, more increasing sort of water challenges, that's no longer acceptable. So there's really a need to recover more minerals, recycle some of this water, and really process the whole ore body more sustainably. So in the case of Parkway, that's really that efficiency and that recycling that we're focused on.
And how do you implement your technology? How does it actually get into the field, if you will?
Yeah, of course. So I guess there's the physical component. So what the equipment looks like and what that does. So we've recently completed a pre-feasibility study, and we'll get into that in a moment. But what's really exciting about that study is it demonstrates, as in equipment and layout, what one of these plants looks like. So that's the physical dimensions or parameters of the technology. And in terms of how that actually provides a solution, if you will, ultimately what we do is we perform some piloting work with a client. So they've got a particular challenge, so a waste stream or a feedstock that's problematic. We perform some test work, and we develop a flow sheet that will help resolve or unlock some of those challenges. And once we've done that, we then design a AIMS processing plant, and our business model is very much based on licensing that technology. So providing a solution, but we're not the guys out there with nuts and bolts building the plant. So we provide a technology package, and we work with a global engineering company, in this case Worley, and they provide initially a feasibility study. So we deliver, a credible engineering group to provide the confidence of what this technology does. It will actually provide the solution the client wants, and then subject to all the usual permitting and financing and all the hoops you need to jump through to deliver a project. Then ultimately that will transition to the delivery phase. So for us, we're very much focused on evaluating, developing, and delivering the technology package, and the rest is essentially execution. Yeah.
Right. And on that execution side, it sounds like the way to commercialize it and the way to monetize it, frankly, is to go through these contractors like the Worleys. Is that accurate?
Yeah, look, it is. So with Worley, we actually have some mutual exclusivity. So it's very much a strategic partnership. So we've, committed to each other within certain market segments to be able to pursue commercializing technology. It's a global relationship. So for a company of our size to be able to have, sort of develop such a relationship, I think is quite important. And the pre-feasibility study that we've just completed was very much a sandpit exercise where Worley engineering team. So we've worked with members across the Worley team, and for us as well, our internal process engineering team. So to start off from a early stage concept to have designed a plant, gone out to market and costed that flow sheet, developed a full feasibility study, and then shared the summary of that to the market, really gives us and our engineering partner the confidence that, we know how to design and ultimately build and deliver one of these projects, which I think is quite exciting for where we are in our journey.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's fair to say that the recent PFS was certainly a game changer for Parkway as far as your life cycle. Is that accurate?
Yeah, look, I think so. I mean, I think we've publicly signaled ultimately we're not a natural owner of any projects. So as the developer of these technologies, we don't intend to be an ultimate owner of these projects. So for our current purposes of being able to scale up the technology, the Kringle Lakes project's been very important. But what was, I think, probably the key takeaway is these designs we've developed and this validation of our technology, in my view, is probably better applied to much larger and more advanced projects. So rather than specifically focus on that project and go through all the standard greenfield project developing infrastructure, going through permitting, that's just not where we need to be ultimately to extract value from the technology. Now that we have a design, I think we've previously flagged there's projects in North America where they wish to develop initially a small scale project, similar scale to what we have at Kringle Lakes, but without any of the greenfield project challenges. So yeah, very much a key milestone, but we don't see moving that project forward a key priority for the company.
Absolutely. But, you do have a lot of news that has been coming out recently and sounds like what's going to happen in the next 12 months. Can you just discuss a little bit, maybe for what should investors be looking for from Parkway over the next, call it 12 months?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think our quarterly might have caught a few people by surprise. We sort of came out with a fair few sort of strategic initiatives we've been working on, a fair few business development opportunities, some piloting work for some rather significant energy and mining companies. We've acquired some synergistic technologies we'll have a little bit more to say about shortly. And in terms of the milestones moving forward, we have a state-of-the-art pilot plant, which this is another milestone in our sort of de-risking stage. So we sort of started the year with a technology that we've been working on for a long time, but really was at a laboratory scale. And we've really, through the PFS, demonstrated what that looks like. And now we're delivering a roughly $1 million pilot plant. It's at the final stages of mechanical completion, hopefully this week. And we hope to come out providing some details that using commercial scale equipment from our preferred vendors that we can put in feedstock and produce some products. So that's a really strong sort of validation milestone. So that commissioning process will start shortly. And I think beyond that, some of these partnerships and some of this piloting work we've been doing for some significant companies will have some more results and guidance on where those relationships are headed. So quite a lot on the go for a small company. And we've also foreshadowed that we're evaluating a few relatively small but strategic opportunities that sort of fit in to our portfolio. So a lot in the works.
Yeah, and you know, the way I'm also considering is that you have now also these relationships with the Worleys and some of the bigger players, if you will. So does that make it so that to your degree that you can acquire or form technology pieces, then you can actually implement them into the field in a far more efficient manner because you already have those relationships?
Yeah, look, I think so. That's exactly I think that's a good observation, Greg. So what we did earlier this year, we acquired a pre-treatment technology that fits in with what we're doing. And in that case, the vendor, the inventor of the technology, had worked with a number of major companies. They recognise we've developed a process engineering team, a piloting capability. We have a R&D alliance with Victoria University. We have an engineering capability. So we've really developed a platform where we can acquire, incubate, validate, and roll out. And quite methodically, we've developed that very deliberately. And I think we'll have a lot more to say about that in the very near future. So I think that makes a whole lot of sense for us to not be distracted from our core purpose, but there are some synergies to deliver a solution. Often, many of these projects, solutions haven't been implemented because often it's complex. You need to bring together a number of different steps. So for us, we see an opportunity to provide a more vertically integrated solution. So you need to pre-treat your feedstock, you need to process it, and then you need to do something downstream. So we see ourselves as not providing every solution for every project, but being able to have a suite of technologies that can be applied where relevant.
Yeah, I mean, I think that that's incredible. As you said, you know, having a suite of products, a company then contacts you, you fill a lot of buckets for them, so to speak. You know, turning, I suppose, a hard right, if you will, to the financial side of things, you recently completed a capital raise. Can you just talk a little bit about the capital position and the use of funds and, you know, frankly, how that does help you for the next 12 months?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So at our last quarterly, we had, excuse me, $1.6 million in the bank. We had marketable securities. So we own roughly 18% of Davenport Resources. That position's worth roughly $2 million. But in light of some of the initiatives we're working on, so I flagged a potential acquisition. I flagged us growing our engineering team. I flagged a number of strategic initiatives we're working on. So really to give us the confidence and our partners, quite frankly, as well, the sorts of commitments we're making, the milestones we're setting ourselves, we wanted to ensure that we're going into, you know, the Christmas break, the next stage of our growth, sufficiently well-funded. I think it gives us some optionality. It really helps us accelerate the commercialization process. So in March this year, April this year, we're sort of in the depths of coronavirus. We started growing our engineering team. We've made some quite blockbuster hires. And, you know, with the balance sheet, with $1.5 million in the bank, we didn't really want to slow down that process. So we thought, let's raise some money, keep hammering our milestones. Let's be in a position that if the market gets difficult, we can opportunistically make a number of quite small, like they're 5 or 10% the size of our market cap. They're not going to be hugely dilutive, but they're nice bolt-ons to really position ourselves to be recognized as a market leader in terms of what we do, process technologies for the mining industry.
Absolutely. And, you know, a couple of minutes ago, you alluded to Davenport and that you have a strategic holding in there. Can you just discuss that a little bit for the audience? Because I don't know if people are quite aware of it.
Yeah, sure. I should probably start off by clarifying. It's a historical investment the company's made, so we're not a listed investment company or anything of the sort. Having said that, it's also quite an important position. So Davenport Resources has delineated a 5 billion tonne globally significant potash resource in Germany. In terms of, it's an established potash mining region. So there's a lot of emerging potash producing areas, but in terms of having a tier one resource in a tier one jurisdiction, I think Davenport's in a great position. We've explored a range of different initiatives with them where we might be able to add value, but to date, rather than assisting them technically, we've been more assisting them commercially. So they've got some new strategic investors. They've got a new chairman, quite an accomplished chairman, Ian Farmer, who's driving some transformation at their company. And we think comparing sort of the enterprise value per ton of resource, it could sort of 10 bag and still look cheap. So from our perspective, we're not a long-term investor speculator in the natural resources space, but we think there's an opportunity for us to support the company to unlock some milestones. And in the longer term, we won't be a shareholder in Davenport, but I think there's some opportunity for us to capture some value. And from a Parkway perspective, our position's worth roughly $2 million in Davenport. And if in 12 months or 18 months, the group delivers some feasibility studies, brings in a partner, there's no reason why we couldn't get $5 million for our position, which would really be material for Parkway, help us on our journey as well. So that's our broad thinking there.
Absolutely. We have to keep these interviews short and sharp, but you're doing good and making a profit in the process, and there's certainly nothing wrong with that. Do you have any closing remarks for our audience?
I guess I'd like to sort of focus on some of these macro trends that are emerging. I think everybody understands the environmental, social, governance challenges facing many of these large mining companies. In many cases, they're existential. And for Parkway, a small Australian company developing new technologies, some credible partnerships to provide long-term solutions for these challenges, I think is quite an exciting opportunity. And I'd encourage anybody who's interested to check out our website, parkwayminerals.com.au.
Bahay, thank you very much for your time. We look forward to the journey with you, and stay in touch.
Thanks, Greg. Appreciate it.
Bye. Thank you for watching another presentation by 180 Markets. Don't forget, if you want access to thousands of ASX capital raises, head on over to 180markets.com.au, sign up, and get on board for our very next capital raise. Thanks for watching.